Welcome Geometers to your last video of Chapter 7. Today's video is all on word problems. So what you're going to be doing today is you're going to be reading a problem that depicts a situation, you're going to draw a picture, and then you're either going to solve for a missing side or a missing angle. It's really nothing new except for the picture part. It's going to use trig and inverse trig. Before we jump into our first example, there's one thing that you need to know. So if you can draw yourself a little figure over here, every problem that you do today is going to involve a right triangle. And in some problems, you're going to be given something that's called an angle of elevation or an angle of depression. And that angle always goes down here. So I just want you to write down and know that the angle of elevation and then the angle of depression, they both go at the bottom there. So that's really, really important to know, because if you put your angle in the wrong spot, you're going to solve incorrectly. So let's just jump right into example number 1. It says a chairlift on a ski slope has an angle of elevation of 28 degrees and covers a total distance of 4,640 feet. To the nearest foot, what is the vertical height covered by the chairlift? Okay, so we need to think about how this situation goes. So we have some little hill, and we have this ski lift that takes you up the hill to the top. So you're going to notice right here is where that right triangle comes in. We're told we have an angle of elevation of 28 degrees. So again, I told you that an angle of elevation or an angle of depression always goes at the bottom. It then says that the chairlift covers a total distance of 4,640 feet. So you need to think, where actually is this chairlift? Well, it starts at the bottom, and it goes on an angle to the top of the hill. So that 4,640 feet goes here. And the question is, what is the vertical height covered by the chairlift? So that's going to be right here. So at this point, we're going to need to set up a trig ratio. If we label all of our sides, 4,640 is the hypotenuse. The x is opposite of that 28. So if we write SOHCAHTOA at the top of our paper, opposite and hypotenuse is going to be sine. So I have the sine of 28 degrees equals my opposite, which is x, over my hypotenuse, which is 4,640. If I put this over 1, I can now do cross products. X times 1 is x, and then I get 4,640 times the sine of 28 degrees. Now this you can do in your calculator. Do 4,640 times sine of 28 and then end your parentheses. When you do that, you get your answer to be 2,178.35 feet. Now the question says to the nearest foot, so we're going to round that to about 2,178 feet. So when you take this chairlift from where you start at the bottom of the hill to the top of the chairlift, you're going to have risen 2,178 feet in elevation. Okay, so let's do another problem. Okay, so example number 2 says, you are 50 feet from the screen at a drive-in movie. If the screen is 89 feet tall, what is the angle of elevation from your eye to the top of the screen? Okay, so let's start by drawing ourselves a picture. Now we know that we're at the drive-in movie, so there's going to be this huge screen. We're going to be in a car of some type, so I'm not really a good drawer, so I'm just going to draw us as a blob in a car, and that's where I am. Now it says you are 50 feet from the screen, so that's going to be measured this way. Okay, so I am 50 feet from the screen. Then it says the screen is 89 feet tall. So at this point, you should be able to see that this is our right triangle. And the question is, what is the angle of elevation from your eye to the top of the screen? So I'm looking for the angle of elevation, which goes right down here. Okay, so at this point, we're going to need to set up a trig ratio. Now what you should notice is that it's going to be an inverse trig ratio because we're looking for an angle. So if we mark our sides according to the sides that we know in relationship to that angle, 89 is the opposite side and 50 is the adjacent side. So opposite and adjacent is going to be tangent. So I have the tangent of angle x equals opposite, which is 89, over adjacent, which is 50. Okay, now to break up that tangent and the x, I'm going to need to use the inverse. So that's this one, the -1. So I'm going to take the inverse tangent of x, and then I'm going to take the inverse tangent of 89 over 50. Now the reason that I do this is because inverse tangent and tangent cancel each other out. So I get x is equal to the inverse tangent of 89 over 50. When I do that, I get the angle of elevation to be 60.67 degrees. Now something that I neglected to mention with the previous problem is that you really need to pay attention to units. So in this case, I was looking for an angle, so my units is going to be in degrees. Last problem, I was looking for a distance, so my units were in feet. So just pay attention to what you're looking for. Okay, we're going to do one more example, and then you're going to do one on your own. So let's move down to this example number 3. It says you throw a ball to your brother, who catches the ball from the 3rd story of your house. You throw your brother the ball at an angle of 70 degrees. If you are standing 20 feet from the house and you are 5'4", how high up is your brother? So this question gives us a lot more information, so we're really going to need to digest it as we draw a picture. So we know that we are throwing a ball to our brother. Okay, so here's my house. I have the 1st story, the 2nd story, the 3rd story. My brother is in that 3rd story window. So it says you throw your brother the ball at an angle of 70 degrees. Okay, so if I throw my brother the ball, that 70 degrees is going to go down here. It says I'm standing 20 feet from the house. So that 20 goes here. And I am 5 feet 4 inches. So the question is, how high up is your brother? So I'm looking for this height right here. Now if I look at my triangle, this is the triangle that I have. Okay, so I'm looking for how high up my brother is. So I'm going to mark this side x. Now I notice that I have opposite and I have adjacent, which is going to be tangent. So I have the tangent of 70 degrees equals opposite, which is x, over adjacent, which is 20. Now if I put this over 1 and do cross products, I get x equals 20 times the tangent of 70 degrees. My calculator tells me that that is 54.95 feet. Okay, now here's where the problem gets really difficult. That's not actually our answer. So if you're going to notice, the triangle starts from where I threw the ball. So that 54.95, that's really only here. That's not how high up my brother is. That's how high up my brother is above me. So again, what I'm saying is the triangle starts from where I threw the ball. So it starts from where my hands are. It doesn't start from the ground. So that 54.95 feet is the height of the triangle, but not how high my brother is. It doesn't account for this part right here. Okay, so that part right there is that 5 feet 4 inches. So what I need to do is I need to take my 54.95 feet and add 5 feet 4 inches. Now 5 feet 4 inches, that's 5 feet, and 4 inches is 4 out of 12 feet. So in my calculator, I'm going to do 54.95. I'm going to add 5 feet, and then I'm going to add 4 out of 12 feet. 4 inches, that's 4 out of 12 feet. It's 1/3 of a foot. When I do all of that, I'm told that my brother is 60.28 feet above the ground. Okay, I know that's a very confusing concept, so if I lost you, please go back and rewatch example 3. If I still have you lost, make sure that you ask me in class tomorrow. We have one more example that we are going to do together. So example 4 is the example that we are going to do together. Right now, pause the video and you try this one on your own, please. Come back only after you have finished. Okay, you should have gotten an answer to be 5.19 degrees. If you did not get that, then you got the answer wrong. So the question was, what angle will the ladder be making with the top of the chimney? So one hint I have for you is that you should not have found the angle of elevation. You should not have found the angle of elevation. So if you got this question right, awesome, move on. If you didn't, make sure you stop right now and fix the issue. Okay, so we have one extra example for you to do. So it says, did we accomplish the objective? Can you actually solve a word problem involving trig? So this is the one that you are going to be doing. Best of luck to you. When you come to class tomorrow, I'm going to be checking to see that you have example number 4 completed correctly and this example. If you have any questions on any of the examples, including example number 3, make sure you star them and write them down so that I can help you tomorrow. Good luck, and I'll see you tomorrow.